"You're not coming to Dad's retirement dinner," Lauren said, not looking up from the seating chart on her laptop. "They don't want to explain you to the partners." I watched her drag my name off the table like it was a typo, and I just said, "I hear you." What she didn't realize was that the dinner wasn't the only thing being taken off the calendar that night, and by the time her family finished their toasts, my part in her life was already boxed up. The place we shared sat on the edge of Minneapolis, a third-floor two-bedroom with thin winter light and a parking lot that turned into gray slush the minute the snowplows showed up. We paid $2,150 a month, plus another $125 for the second parking spot because she refused to do street parking after someone clipped her mirror last year. The building smelled like laundry detergent and someone's curry most evenings, and the hallway carpet had a permanent salt stain down the middle from boots. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm. It was quiet. It felt like something we were building. My work was the opposite of fancy. I'm a lead mechanic for Metro Transit, mostly buses and light rail maintenance. Early mornings, steel-toe boots, hands that always carry a little grease no matter how hard you scrub. I keep the fleet moving, which is the kind of job people don't notice until it's not done. Lauren liked telling people she was in strategy. What she actually did was corporate communications for a medical device company in the suburbs, the kind of place with glass walls, catered lunches, and a lobby that smells like a hotel. We met at a friend's backyard barbecue in northeast Minneapolis, one of those late summer evenings where the air is perfect and everyone thinks fall will never come. She asked me for help with a busted patio chair because I'm the guy who can look at something and fix it without making it a whole production. We ended up talking by the cooler for an hour. She laughed at my dumb story about a bus door that refused to close unless you whispered to it like a horse. I liked that she looked directly at you when she listened, like your words mattered. 2 years later, she had a ring on her finger and a shared grocery list on our fridge. We were engaged for 5 months. The plan was a small wedding the next summer, something in Minnesota so my mom could drive in from St. Cloud without stress. Lauren wanted a modern venue, clean lines, lots of candles, and a band instead of a DJ because it feels elevated. I didn't care about elevated. I cared about the part where we ended up married. Her family treated the engagement like a corporate merger. Her dad, Richard, was a partner at a big law firm downtown, retiring at the end of the month. Her mom, Elaine, chaired committees the way other people breathe. Her brother, Grant, was an orthopedic surgeon who had opinions about everything, including how you hold a wineglass. They weren't cruel in a loud way. They were worse than that. They were polite, controlled, and quietly disappointed in you like you detract snow onto a white rug. At first, I told myself they'd warm up once they saw how steady I was. I showed up on time. I fixed things at their house without being asked. I brought wine to dinners even though I don't really drink. I asked questions about their lives, the kind of questions most people don't bother with because they're waiting for their turn to talk. I figured respect is something you earn by being consistent. The problem was, I was trying to earn something they didn't think they owed. The first microcut was at Thanksgiving. I offered to carve the turkey because I was already standing in the kitchen with the knife in my hand. Elaine smiled like she was letting a child help and said, "Oh, honey, the carving set is for people who know what they're doing." Then she handed it to Grant, who had the same confident grip he probably used to hold scalpels. The second was at their country club brunch in December. Lauren invited me, insisted it would be good exposure, and I should get comfortable. The valet took my 10-year-old pickup like it was contagious. Inside, Richard introduced me as Lauren's friend, then corrected himself with an exaggerated chuckle. "Well, fiancé now." A man in a blazer asked where I went to school. When I said I didn't finish, went straight into the trade, the man's smile didn't change, but his eyes moved past me like I'd turned transparent. The third was when they visited our apartment, and Elaine did a slow look around our living room, taking in the thrift store bookshelf and the second-hand dining table I'd sanded down and refinished. She said, "It's cozy," like she was describing a motel room that was clean enough. Later, Lauren told me her mom had texted her a link to starter home decor ideas. The fourth was a winter fundraiser Lauren worked. I didn't attend, but I drove her because it was snowing hard and she hates driving in storms. We sat in the car in the venue's drop-off lane while people in tuxedos and long dresses floated inside. She checked her makeup in the visor mirror and said, "If you were there, you'd need a suit, not the one from your cousin's wedding." I asked if she wanted me there. She said, "Not for that crowd, not yet." Then she kissed my cheek and hurried out like she was late for a flight. The fifth was small and personal. It was Christmas Eve at Richard and Elaine's after dinner while everyone was in the living room drinking coffee. Richard asked me what my long-term plan was. I said, "Keep moving up, maybe superintendent someday." He nodded and said, "That's nice. Lauren deserves ambition." It wasn't a question, it was a verdict. Lauren always had an explanation. They're old-fashioned. They don't understand your world. They're just protective. They want what's best for me. She'd say it softly, like she was smoothing a wrinkle, and I'd tell myself that love means patience. Then Richard's retirement dinner got scheduled, and patience finally ran out. It was a Tuesday in early March when the invitation became a problem. Outside, the temperature hovered around 10 degrees, and the sky had that flat winter look like the world had been turned to grayscale. Lauren came home with a garment bag over one arm and a thick folder in the other. She kicked off her boots on the mat, the same spot I always had to straighten later, and walked straight to the kitchen table like she was arriving at a meeting. "I need to talk through Thursday," she said. I was rinsing a coffee mug, still in my work hoodie, the one with the transit logo on the chest. "Okay, what's Thursday?" She opened her laptop, the screen glow making her face look paler. "Dad's retirement dinner. The firm is doing it at Lakeside Club." She said it like it was a proper noun everyone should recognize. Partners, judges, clients, it's big. I dried my hands and sat across from her. "All right, what do you need?" She hesitated long enough that my stomach tightened. Then she said it quickly, like ripping off a bandage. "You're not coming." I didn't lean back, I didn't laugh, I didn't ask if she was kidding. I looked at her the way I look at a dashboard warning light, waiting for the full message. "Why?" Lauren's eyes flicked to the folder. "It's complicated." "Try me." She inhaled and let it out carefully. "They don't want to explain you to the partners." I felt something go still in my chest, not anger, more like the moment a door finally clicks shut. "Explain me." She reached for a pen and started tapping it on the table, a nervous habit she had when she wanted control. "It's not about you as a person. It's just optics. People will ask what you do, and Dad doesn't want the conversation to go sideways." I asked 2 questions because I needed the facts clear. Are spouses and partners bringing their dates? "Yes," she said, immediate. "Of course." "Is it your dad saying I can't come, or your mom or you?" Her mouth opened, then closed. "It's them." "That's not an answer." Lauren's cheeks flushed. "It's mostly my mom and Grant, and Dad doesn't want to fight right before he retires. He's tired." I nodded once. "Third question, what do you want?" She finally looked up, and for a second I saw something like fear behind her practiced composure. "I want you to understand this is one night." "Do you want me there?" Her eyes dropped again. "Not if it causes tension." So that was the answer. I sat back a fraction, not because I was trying to make a point, but because my body needed a little space. "I hear you," I said. Lauren's shoulders loosened like she'd expected me to argue, and my calm made it easier for her to pretend this was reasonable. "Thank you. I knew you'd be mature about it." "Mature," I repeated, tasting the word. She pushed the folder toward herself and started flipping pages. "Okay, so I'm wearing the navy dress, the one with the satin sleeve. I need you to pick it up from the cleaners tomorrow because I'll be in meetings. And Thursday I'll take an Uber there and back. I don't want to deal with the parking situation. It's going to be crazy." She said it all like I was still on the team, like the only thing changing was my seat at the table. I watched her for another beat, then stood up. "I'm going to take a shower. Long day." She smiled, relief spreading across her face. "I'm sorry, Nate, really. We'll do something nice this weekend, just us." I didn't correct her. I didn't say there wouldn't be a us. I just walked down the hall, and the apartment suddenly felt smaller, like the walls had moved closer. She left an hour later to meet a friend for a manicure, because the cameras will be everywhere. She kissed me quickly on the cheek, grabbed her keys, and told me, "Please don't spiral," like I was the one with the problem. The moment the door shut, I stood in the quiet and listened to the building settle. Somewhere upstairs a dog barked once, a radiator pinged. Outside, a snowplow scraped along the street. Everything kept moving like normal. That's when I made the quiet decision. The lease was in both our names. We de-signed it together. She handled the online portal payments because she liked the control of seeing every bill in one place, but I paid my share by transferring money to her each month. I had all the confirmation emails. I had the receipts legally because I'm not reckless. "I don't do," he said, she said, "if I can avoid it." I pulled up the property management website and found the contact email for the leasing office. It was after 6, but they'd see it in the morning. I wrote a straightforward message. I said I needed to discuss options for removing myself from the lease due to a relationship change. I asked what the process was: transfer, early termination, or notice to vacate at the end of the term. I included my phone number and asked for a call the next day. I didn't mention her family. I didn't vent. I kept it professional, the same tone I use when I email vendors about a part that arrived damaged. Then I opened the shared folder we kept for documents and pulled up the lease PDF. I read the clauses: 60 days notice for non-renewal. Early termination required 2 months, rent plus forfeiting the security deposit unless the remaining tenant qualified alone. There it was, reality in black and white, no emotion. Next, I grabbed a duffel bag from the closet and started with my essentials: work boots, uniforms, my winter coat, my toiletries, my laptop, the small toolbox I keep for apartment fixes, the framed photo of my mom and me at a Twins game. I didn't take anything we bought together except my own clothes and my own property. I wasn't trying to punish her. I just needed clean lines. I texted my buddy Malik, the one person I trusted to keep things simple. "You awake, need a couch for a week?" He replied in under a minute, "Yeah, come whenever." I packed quietly. I didn't slam drawers. I didn't throw things. I moved like I was working a job because in a way I was. I was dismantling something that didn't hold. Before I left, I put my key fob and my parking pass on the kitchen counter. Then I wrote a note on plain paper because the point wasn't drama. The point was clarity. "Lauren, when you said your family doesn't want to explain me, I listened. I'm not staying in a home where I'm treated like a liability. I've contacted the leasing office to start the process of removing myself from the lease. I'll cover my share through the end of the month as we sort it out in writing. Please don't come to Malik's place. If you need to discuss logistics, email me." Nate. I didn't sign it with a heart. I didn't add anything else. I folded it once and left it on the counter next to the keys. By the time I carried the duffel bag down to the parking lot, it was full dark. The cold hit my face like a slap, clean and honest. My truck started on the first try. The heater smelled faintly like dust burning off the vents. I pulled out of the lot and didn't look back at the third-floor window. Malik lived near Uptown in an older building with a narrow staircase and a landlord who never fixed anything on time. His living room had mismatched furniture and a giant TV mounted slightly crooked, and it felt like a lifeboat. He didn't ask questions right away. He just handed me a beer, which I didn't open, and said, "You can have the couch. Bathroom's down the hall. Take your time." That was the first kindness I'd felt all day. Update 1, Lauren found the note around 9:30 p.m. because she called me at 9:37 and then again at 9:41 and then again at 9:44. I didn't answer. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I just knew if I picked up, she'd make it about feelings and I'd get pulled into explaining something that didn't need explaining. The text started right after. "Where are you? What is this note? Are you serious right now? Nate, answer me. Then this is not the time. Dad's dinner is Thursday." That one did it, not because it was mean, because it was pure. It said everything. I replied once, one line, "Email me about the lease." Then I turned my phone face down on Malik's coffee table. The next morning I went to work like normal. I inspected a bus lift that had been sticking. I ordered parts for a brake job. I drank bad coffee from the break room machine and listened to guys complain about the snow forecast. Life kept moving because it always does. Around 10:15, the leasing office called. The manager, a woman named Tara, had a voice that said she'd handled 1,000 breakups and didn't need the details. She asked if Lauren knew. I said she'd been informed in writing. Tara explained the options. Lauren could apply to qualify a loan, and if she did, they could execute a lease transfer. If she didn't qualify a loan, we could either pay the early termination fee or give notice for non-renewal and both vacate at the end of the term. I asked for everything in writing. Tara said she'd email it. When I got the email, I forwarded it to Lauren with a short note. "Here are the options. Let me know which you prefer." She replied 20 minutes later with one word: "Unbelievable." I didn't respond to that because it wasn't logistics, it was noise. Update 2, the family got involved faster than I expected, which told me Lauren had gone straight to them for rescue. Wednesday afternoon, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. It was Grant. His message was polished and irritated, like he was dictating it to a nurse. "Nate, this is Grant. Lauren is upset. Your timing is not ideal. Whatever issue you think you have, you handle it after Thursday. You don't disrupt a retirement event like this. Call me back. I listened to it twice, not because I needed to, but because I couldn't believe a grown man thought he could schedule my dignity around his father's party. I didn't call him back. I texted him one sentence: please communicate through Lauren in writing regarding the lease. Then, because I'm a person and not a robot, I took a breath and stared at my hands for a moment. Grease under the nails. Same hands that fixed the loose hinge at their house last month. Same hands that carried groceries up 3 flights when the elevator broke. The message was clear. I was useful, not welcome. That evening, Elaine emailed me from an address that had her full name and a signature block longer than my entire email. Nate, I'm disappointed by your choice to create upheaval during an important week for our family. Lauren has been under significant stress. I'm sure you can agree that family events require a certain decorum. I hope you will do the right thing and reconsider your sudden decision. Decorum, that was the word. I didn't write back right away. I sat on Malik's couch and watched the snow fall past the streetlight outside his window, the flakes looking like ash. Then I replied with something simple. Elaine, I respect that this is a busy week for your family. My decision is final. I've provided the leasing options in writing. Please direct any further communication about logistics to email. No insult, no lecture, just a closed door. Lauren called again that night, voice tight. I answered this time because I didn't want her showing up at Malik's place out of impulse. Are you trying to humiliate me? She said. My mother is furious. Grant is furious. Everyone is asking what happened. I'm not trying to do anything, I said. I'm ending the relationship. This is because of one dinner. It's because of what the dinner represents, I said, and kept my tone even. You told me your family doesn't want to explain me, and you didn't argue with them. You agreed. She went quiet, then said, I was trying to protect you. From what? I asked. Your own parents. You don't understand how these things work, she snapped, and immediately tried to soften it. Nate, please just wait until after Thursday. Let Dad have his night, then we can talk. I could almost see her in our kitchen, hand on the counter, trying to negotiate like this was a postponable problem, like respect had an appointment time. I hear you, I said again, not as a loop but as a fact, and my answer is no. Then I told her, email me if you want to pick a lease option, and I ended the call. Update 3, Thursday came anyway. People don't cancel their parties for your heartbreak. That afternoon, Tara emailed both of us with the qualification link for a lease transfer. Lauren would need to submit her income documents by Monday if she wanted to keep the apartment alone without penalty. It was simple: numbers, paperwork, reality. I forwarded it to Lauren with one line: deadline is Monday. She didn't reply. That night around 8:20, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. This time it was Richard. His voice was older than I remembered, tired in a way I'd never heard at Sunday dinners. There was noise in the background, clinking glasses, laughter that sounded forced. Nate, he said, and paused like he wasn't used to starting a conversation without control. It's Richard. He cleared his throat. Lauren didn't want me to call. Elaine definitely didn't want me to call, but I'm calling. I didn't call back immediately, not because I was playing games, because I needed to steady myself. Richard had always been the quiet center of that family, the man who rarely said anything direct but somehow set the temperature in every room. I stepped outside Malik's building into the cold and called him back. Richard answered on the first ring. The background noise was lower now, like he'd stepped into a hallway. Thank you for calling back, he said. Listen, I heard what happened. I'm sorry. I didn't speak for a moment. I could feel my breath fogging in front of my face. Sorry for what? I asked carefully. He exhaled. For how things were handled, for how you were made to feel. I'm not going to pretend I understand your world. I don't, but I know what it means to show up for someone, and you showed up for Lauren. He paused and his voice dropped. Elaine can be intense. Grant can be opinionated, and I've been tired. I've let a lot slide because I didn't have the energy for fights at home while trying to finish my career without mistakes. I listened, not because it fixed anything, but because it was the first honest sentence I'd ever heard from him. I should have told Lauren to bring you, he said. I should have told everyone else to deal with it, but I didn't. There it was, a clean admission. It would have mattered a year ago. I said, I appreciate you saying that. I also want you to know, he added, Elaine is livid because, well, people asked tonight. They noticed you weren't here. Someone mentioned you helped fix our back gate last month and asked why you weren't at the table. Lauren said you had work, and then someone else said they saw your truck at her building most days. The story didn't hold. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt a dull sadness, like watching a structure fail because the foundation was never right. Richard continued, quieter. If you two can work it out. We can't, I said, still calm. Not after this. He was silent for a beat. Then at least handle the apartment without making it harder than it needs to be. That's all I ask, for her sake. I'm handling it in writing, I said. I'm not trying to ruin her. I'm just leaving. Richard's voice softened again. Fair. Nate, for what it's worth, you deserved better than being treated like a question mark. Thank you, I said. When we hung up, I stood in the cold for a minute longer and watched headlights slide past on the wet street. It was strange, hearing empathy from the one person in that family who actually had the authority to stop it. Strange and too late. Friday morning, Lauren finally emailed. Her message was long, frantic, full of emotion dressed up as logic. She said she'd made a mistake. She said her mom pressured her. She said she never meant it that way. She said the dinner got messy because people asked questions and her mom was embarrassed and Grant blamed her and now everyone was taking it out on her. She said she wanted me to come back so we could present a united front and get through the next few weeks until the retirement transition was over. That was the sentence that cleared everything for me. Present a united front, not rebuild trust, not apologize without conditions, not protect what we had, just manage optics. I replied with 3 sentences. I'm not coming back. Please choose a lease option by Monday. If you want to keep the apartment alone, submit the qualification documents. If you don't, we'll follow the early termination or non-renewal process as written. She called immediately. I answered because this part needed to be done cleanly. Her voice was raw. You're acting like I'm some stranger, she said. After everything, after the ring, after the plans. The plans depended on respect, I said. And you told me I wasn't worth bringing to a room. It was 1 room, she insisted, 1 night. It was your father, I said. It was the people who raised you, and you looked at me and said they don't want to explain me. Lauren, that's not a small thing, that's a belief. She started crying, and for a second my chest tightened. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel powerful. I felt tired. I love you, she said. I care about you, I said honestly. But I'm not marrying into a family that treats me like a liability, and I'm not marrying someone who goes along with it. I didn't go along with it, she said, desperate. I was trying to keep the peace. And you kept it, I said, just not with me. That was the closure scene, right there, in a phone call that lasted 11 minutes. No screaming, no threats, just the end. On Monday, she did submit the qualification paperwork. She made enough to qualify a loan, barely. And I suspect her parents offered to help quietly because they hate public consequences more than they hate spending money. Tara emailed us both the lease transfer agreement. I signed it that afternoon at my work break table, pen scratching over paper while a coworker ate chili out of a plastic container beside me. Lauren signed hers later that night. I was off the lease by Tuesday. No sabotage, no withholding, no revenge, just the clean legal line I needed. Final update, it's been 3 months now. I'm in a 1-bedroom in St. Louis Park with a smaller rent and a parking spot that doesn't cost extra because the building isn't trying to pretend it's luxury. The windows are drafty, but I don't mind. I bought a cheap entryway rug that actually catches the salt and I don't have to argue about it. My commute is 15 minutes. I stop at Cub Foods after my shift sometimes, pick up chicken, rice, and whatever vegetables are on sale, and I cook while listening to the weather report like I always have. The quiet feels different now. Not like waiting for the next comment, just quiet. Lauren and I haven't spoken since the lease transfer. She emailed once about a box of holiday ornaments she found that belonged to my mom. I thanked her and told her where to drop them off. She left them with the front desk. No note, no drama. The weirdest part is that I don't hate her. I think she got raised in a world where appearances are treated like oxygen, and she learned that keeping everyone comfortable mattered more than being fair. She didn't wake up one day and decide to be cruel. She just did what she'd always done, smooth the surface, avoid conflict, protect the image. I was the part of the image that didn't match, so she tried to erase it for one night. She didn't understand that you can't erase someone and still call it love. I've gone on a couple of dates since, nothing serious yet. One woman, Denise, works for the parks department and showed up in a flannel jacket and laughed when my hands were cold because I forgot gloves. She didn't ask where I went to school. She asked if I liked living in Minnesota and whether I preferred summer festivals or winter hockey games. It felt normal. It felt human. That's what I took from all of it. Dignity isn't loud. It's not revenge. It's not winning an argument. It's choosing not to live where you're treated like something that needs an explanation. I used to think being calm meant swallowing things to keep peace. Now I know being calm can also mean standing up, packing a bag, and leaving without making a scene. Because if someone can't say your name proudly in a room full of people, they don't get to say it softly in private and call it devotion.